everybody, this is Calvin Waite. I trade crypto for a living. I'm not a registered or licensed financial advisor, planner, or broker, so nothing on this channel should be taken as a recommendation to buy or sell. I also trade all of these things, so I probably have a vested interest in there. But there's plenty of entertainment value and lots of education, so this will be awesome. For those of you who didn't know, my subscription channel is live. So look at the link in the description over at cryptoinfluencers.com, and you can see how I make all of my trades and what I do and what I think about everything. This channel is for more hypothetical and looking at trends, and the other one is for actual trading, so you might be interested in that. Hey everybody, happy Tuesday evening. Just wanted to give you a quick update. I was pretty much gone all afternoon today, and this morning I had a sweet 8.5 mile run. I'm so excited about my new running sandals. It's pretty cool. So anyway, busy day. Finally getting to my video. So I did want to congratulate Sid for winning our giveaway today. So the $25 of Ethereum is in your wallet right now, and so thanks for being a part of the channel. And I do appreciate everybody on the chat saying hi. That's very cool. You guys, thanks for saying hi. It's very, very, very awesome. We've got some very interesting news this morning. So before I get too far, I'm going to just remind you that tomorrow, as long as there's no emergencies, we're going to have a live stream this time. And so I hope you can be there, 12:30 tomorrow at Mountain Time. Okay, so that will get us started. Let's look at the 1 hour chart. So last night we'd spent some time on the 1 hour chart just noticing how we were finding support on the 50, and we were finally getting there, and our video was right around here. And so through the night we did break the 100, we got up to the 200, we were testing it a few times here, and then right during the announcement of the US inflation numbers, the CPI reading this morning, market climbed really high and then dropped back and then dropped down and then came back. So we had this wild volatility spike, and it was during this moment here. And then the rest of the market kind of fell apart. So most of the day we've been resistance below the the 100 and the 50. And so we've been sort of ranging. I was hoping we'd get a little bit more momentum built into this, and hopefully that was going to translate over to the 4 hour. Well, on the 4 hour, we did just barely. We just got our nose above the 50 and exited the red zone just for one split second. And then we had our news for the FOMC, and we got dropped back down. Things were all over the place. And we ended up having a big red candle after this, so we did not hold our 50. Well, there's some strange things happening in our chart now on the 4 hour, because we are slowly climbing back up. So we're recovering a little bit. So we're back above our 20, which is positive. These things are good. But now we flip from red to yellow. Red to yellow is strange because red zone means that we're below the 200's on top, then the 100, then the 50, then price action, but they're all sloping downwards. Yellow means something's not quite right. And in this case, our 50 is sloping upwards. And why would our 50 be sloping upwards right here? It's because 50 candles ago, we were right down here. So this candle at the very bottom is lower than this, so we're actually sloping upwards, and we will for the next 16 hours. And then finally this candle will show up, and then we'll be back into a red zone if we haven't cleared the 50. So what's interesting about this, and what's also sort of bullish about this, is that usually a red zone, when all of your averages are falling, you're getting pushed down. Your averages, you hit the average and they're dropping, and it pushes you down. When you finally break it, that shows momentum. That's why an exit of the red zone is so positive. Well, in this case, our 50 is not pushing us down anymore. It's going sideways. And so if the 50 kind of lets off the gas a little bit, it allows us to kind of get above there without that pressure. So it is potentially positive that we might be able to come up here. Well, the FOMC spiking us up, the inflation reading spiked us up really good, and gave us a pretty ugly top to our daily candle. So let's look at the daily now. If you can notice this candle, it is a very tight candle. So yesterday's candle body was slightly tighter. This is green, but when you're opening and closing this close, the color doesn't really matter. It's essentially pretty close to a doji. Well, where did we reject? We rejected right here. So that's not great. We rejected off of the 200-week moving average. This will be very ugly if we don't get above this on the weekly. So now if we look at the weekly has this, it now has this this wick that's rejecting against the 200. So if we close this candle with this wick hitting as resistance, it means that we've got a struggle ahead, because the 200 is pretty important. I mean, we have been faked out before. I mean, we dropped through for a few weeks, came back through, faked back out, and went back down. So in the past, we have played with this 50 or this 200 for a while. But on the whole, when you're on one side of it, it usually means business. It was a rejection here, and it definitely meant business. This rejection dropped us from 25 to 20, so that was a huge rejection. And then we finally crossed it, and we've held support for a while until the end of the candle last week. So now we have a candle that is showing resistance on the underside. Could be a fake out, but greater than 50% chance is what we're interested in on this channel. And we really need to get back above this by the end of week. Otherwise, this is going to show as resistance. And the 200 as resistance is not going to be pretty. Well, there's another thing that I've been thinking about. We have gone down for, we're working on week 10 of our downturn. Well, I will say 9. We'll call this our first one. So 9 weeks we have been pulling back. If we just kind of zoom out, Bitcoin's usually finding bottoms and tops much more frequently than a 9-week period. So this is a strange thing. This is very strange. And what I think is happening is I think that there are periods and there's emotion in the market to say, hey, we're ready for our next leg up. We've pulled back, but it's really hard for whales and institutions and the people that really have the ability to move markets around and drive the momentum to really push it with all of the dark cloud that's kind of hovering over our space, with Binance being threatened to have all their Binance US having all of their assets seized by the SEC today. Like, that came down to a court case today, and luckily they didn't seize it. But it's not like there's enough good news that people are ready to dump in and get going. Bears are tired. Like, we're going sideways. Like, it's slowly going down. There's no accelerant to the downside, but we just can't catch a break to give the bulls the confidence to actually take the reins. And so it really is a full holding position. The first news we had about the SEC suing everybody under the sun was here, and then we roared back, and then we whimpered out, and then we went completely indecision, and then we whimpered out, and now we've been in decision for 3 days. And so it's been pretty rough emotionally on the market with sort of what's going on out there. I'm usually a great ignorer of the news, but that type of news has teeth in it. And so it's definitely something that I'm paying attention to. It's almost one of those things where it's a rip the Band-Aid off situation, you know? It's like, are we gonna get this or not? Let's move on, kind of thing. And so right now the market is very undecided. It's really hard to tell. I think we are oversold. We are pulling back, but nobody's ready to really push this market yet. If it does go up, it will have to be from a different source than the United States. So that's kind of my interpretation of where we are. Normally, if I see something pulling back this much for this long, our next leg up is just imminent. It's so close. It's like it could just happen at any time. There's not usually this much slow bleeding and then it suddenly picks up for some odd reason. Like that's usually not the case. That would be a very unusual situation, and almost, and the accelerant to the downside would almost stand on its own. Like it would have caused a market drop here, here, here. It doesn't matter. So I feel like it would only take a black swan for us to really drop at this point, because we have slow bled and the bears are fatigued. It's just that the bulls haven't taken the reins yet. I hope they can get it done this week, because we really need to recapture this 200 week, or else our chart's going to start looking pretty ugly. So yeah, just hoping for a little bit of blue sky and a green light here. So back to the 1 hour. We're trying again. We're on the top side of our 50. We have one more. We've got another chance to try to start moving things out. Our 100-hour moving average is dropping down. It was a very clean rejection here, a couple of rejections here. This was almost a fake out. So we've kind of had resistance for a long time. Really, since it became sort of quicksand to us back May 31st. So we're 2 weeks under the 200-hour moving average. But that's the point. You wait, you consolidate, you go sideways long enough, and your averages get down within they get so low that you trip over them, and suddenly you've got everything you need and things can go. So things could happen. We've definitely struggled with this for 2 weeks now. But now we've got a fighting chance if we can just get up here and get another try under our belt. So hopefully we can get there. We have a chance. We're in the white zone, so this is a positive place to be. Okay, here's the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. We haven't looked at the matcher for quite a while, and I'm just barely refreshed it with our most recent data. The interesting thing that's happening here is that, let me go to the daily really quick. We don't have, 55 days worth of data usually is enough to give us a picture of what's happening. And I think this is day 55. So we've missed out on all of this run up. All we know is that we had a major drop, and then we've kind of been suffering for a long time. So that's probably as realistic as realistic of an experience that we could try to find a match for. And the match that we found is pretty intriguing. It's pretty intriguing because we had a pretty solid drop, and then we had a little bit of a bounce, so kind of this more recent bounce here, and then we sort of consolidated for a little bit below our highs, and then we had a little candle to pop us up, which that was this. And then a candle to pop us down, and that was this kind of event. And now we're sort of going sideways. If we were to match what happened in January of 2019, we would still be going sideways for an additional 10 days. You'll notice that we didn't really lose too much ground. I mean, this really is a small percentage. But it was kind of a slow pullback. It continued to slow pullback, and it continued. And then finally we had one day where we're like, okay, let's get out of here. And then this changed the entire direction of our move for the next 40 days, our next month. And I'm waiting for that spark. We're waiting for a spark. And the tighter we get and the slower we consolidate and the quieter it is, that spark will become more powerful when it finally happens. So this is actually a pretty decent reflection of something that happened in the history of Bitcoin that could potentially happen again. The other examples are, they're a little interesting. Let's just kind of poke through them. This one doesn't quite look the same because this one shows that we were rising and then we've only kind of pulled back. But we had a selling climax and we've been consolidating higher, which, there might be a case here, but the emotions are a little bit different. But yeah, in the end, this pulled back up again. This is a more pessimistic view that we had pulled back, had a rejection. 2014, yeah, this is the bear market. So I don't think we're in a bear market. So I don't think this is really going to explain the emotions of what we're doing. But the chart shape is pulling us back. So there is a similarity there. This is just shifted by a day. 2022, this was right before the FTX thing where we tried to launch and then we dropped because of FTX. If this is where we are in the market though, if we started moving, it would move pretty good. So I would be very happy if this was the formation we were doing. The problem with this chart is that we do have a lower low here, but then we had highers. We were moving up a little bit. We had more strength here where we're still dipping down. So this doesn't match the emotions perfectly. This low was much lower than where we were, but this pullback is pretty similar. And then we finally popped up. So I actually pointed to this one on the Pro channel on the weekly chart a few days ago, that we were this kind of slow bleeding consolidation. The only other time we've seen this is perhaps maybe 2020, but we were really close to the bull market at that point. 2018, we all love this chart, dropping off like crazy. I don't know if we're there. I don't think we're doing this. But yeah, every one of these is plausible. 2015, yeah, emotions are too different on that one. And then 2020. Yeah, but this 2019 looks very intriguing. This kind of pullback that we're dealing with. There was just a lot of consolidation for a lot longer. Let's take a look at that on 2019, January of 2019. Oh, okay, interesting. So this is the bottom of the bear market. I mean, it's curious. There is kind of an interesting case to be made, because we did find a bottom and we tried to pull off of it, and then we pulled back and it's slow, and then we finally started moving and we popped like crazy. We've already had our pop, so there is an emotional difference here, but this kind of slow, long, enduring thing, you know. I mean, let's see, from our first top here to our bottom, well, 48 days. We're on day 60. So even this, I don't know if this even really gives it credit. And maybe that's why the matcher was finding like this whole experience. Like it was taking it from here. It's because this is 60 days here. But yeah, this is a complete different place. Emotionally, we're not at the edge of a complete drop off. So maybe after this bounce and the cool off, we were sort of doing this. But yeah, it just makes me feel like, you know, as long as we start pulling back and it's slow, the bears are exhausted. And we just need a little spark to get us going. And in our case, we're sort of at the top of this thing, and we're just slowly pulling back, slowly. And, you know, it's hard to say. You know, will something happen in the market that scares everyone suddenly and everyone just decides, oh, we're dropping this baby below 20,000. I mean, I have a hard time getting behind that without a very specific event. And I know the SEC is trying to create that event, but the market doesn't believe them. Proof is the next day after all those lawsuits, we had this massive green day. And so it's kind of a, you know, I think the market's just like, you know, frustrated with all of that. And just give us the right conditions, and the market's just going to go no matter what. And you know, markets aren't just going to, at least crypto markets aren't going to do this. Maybe the stock market and other things, they might be a little more apt to follow the US, you know, direction. But crypto is way too volatile for that. You go one direction for too long, and man, people are itchy to go the other way. So very, very interesting market. Very strange. We're just waiting for that little catapult, and you know, I just have to believe that it's coming, because bears have been in control for so long, and now they're not making any progress. Like we're very quiet now. So yeah, that's kind of my interpretation of this market. Ethereum's not doing anything to speak of. It's kind of quiet, waiting for Bitcoin. I mean, we're just doing the same thing, slow pullback, waiting for Bitcoin to do something. And Ethereum dominance has been dropping a teeny bit just over the last few days, but it actually is very high, like almost historically high. So, you know, I still think there's a lot of strength in Ethereum, but we just need green light for Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin dominance shot up because of all of this. People are kind of rushing to Bitcoin for safety, but even it is fatiguing. Like we had a red candle for the first time today, so markets are getting a little impatient, and something's gonna break. And I just feel like the greater than 50% chance is that we're gonna have our next leg up. And so I'm waiting patiently for it, and we'll see if I'm right. Okay, guys, that's it for me. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you supporting me. I've noticed that there have been more viewers on my videos lately, and I think it's pretty cool. It's really nice that you guys are sharing what I'm doing, and people are discovering who I am and things. I'm just trying to be honest and read the chart for what it is. But yeah, hopefully it's helpful to you guys. All right, have a great evening. We will see you live tomorrow. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. Make sure you keep those trades small. Don't force a trade. Don't get impatient. And if you want to see how all this works, please come over and check me out on the subscription channel at cryptoinfluencers.com. Again, the link is in the description.